How you doing? This is Chris Prophy, Musically Obsessed. And tonight what I want to do is talk about Frank Sinatra. And I have a lot of his CDs, but I want to talk about the 4 vinyl albums that I have by him. So let's just get right into it. The first album that I have is an album called A Man Alone. This is just an awesome album. It's a tribute to the poet Rod McEwen. And all the songs on here are actually written by Rod McEwen. So this is what the vinyl looks like. It's a classic Reprise label. And you've got on here, I'll list the songs first, and I'll talk about a couple of them. You've got A Man Alone, Night, I've Been to Town, From Promise to Promise, The Single Man, The Beautiful Strangers, Lonesome Cities. Side 2 is Love's Been Good to Me, Empty Is, Out Beyond the Window, Some Traveling Music, and A Man Alone, and that's the reprise of that. Here's the back cover. Sinatra looking pretty cool there. What I like about this album is that I feel really by like 1969, for me anyways, I like Sinatra's voice from that point on. Not to say that his voice wasn't awesome back, in earlier recordings, but I really feel like by 1969 it was really seasoned, and he was able to do a little bit more with his voice, show some different emotions than he had maybe in the past. What's cool about this record is that there are spoken word sections as well as the songs. And for anybody who has spent time alone for any amount of time, you're going to definitely identify with this album. Some of the songs I like on here, I love A Man Alone. I love the song I've Been to Town, The Beautiful Strangers, and I love the song Love's Been Good to Me, and I believe that was the single off of this album. So, again, if you haven't heard this Frank Sinatra album from 1969 called A Man Alone, you've got to check it out. All right, another album that I have by Frank Sinatra, and this could possibly be my favorite Frank Sinatra album, and it's an album from 1970 called Watertown. And here's the front cover. Here's the back cover. Now, this is a concept record about a man from Watertown, New York, whose wife leaves him, and he's left with his 2 kids. Interestingly enough, all the songs on here were written by, and I'm going to hopefully not mispronounce his name, Bob Gaudio from Four Seasons fame. And they were written specifically for Frank Sinatra. Again, this is a concept record, so all the songs tie together. And again, by 1970, his voice was definitely well seasoned. I love what he does vocally on this album. I love the concept of this record. I really feel like Frank Sinatra does become the character of the man from Watertown, New York. Some songs that I love off this, I love Goodbye. The song Michael and Peter. I Would Be in Love Anyway. That song is probably the number 1 on here for me. And What a Funny Girl You Used to Be. But if you have not heard Watertown, and I know a lot of Frank Sinatra fans have not heard this album is really, really, really good. If you like Frank Sinatra, if you like concept records, you have to give this a try. It's a very, very good album. And like I said, this could possibly be my favorite Frank Sinatra album. All right, another album I have. And again, I got a lot of CDs, but I'm just showing you the 4 records that I have. Old Blue Eyes Is Back. Now, this came out in 1973. This is the front cover. And all these are on the Reprise label. That was his label that he was on. They all have the classic Reprise label. These are original pressings. My Watertown album is a new pressing, 180 gram vinyl. I used to have an original pressing of that because the original one came with a poster, but it was in crappy condition. But I took the poster, and I have the poster with my 180 gram vinyl of Watertown. Hopefully that made sense. But let's get back to talking about this album. Old Blue Eyes Is Back. This is the back cover. Let me just tell you all the songs on here first. You've got You Will Be My Music, You're So Right, Winners, Nobody Wins, Send in the Clowns, Dream Away, Let Me Try Again, There Used to Be a Ballpark, and Noah. This was the album that was recorded, like I said, it came out in 1973. This album came out after a brief retirement that Frank Sinatra did. Some songs that I really love on here. I love Send in the Clowns because I'm a huge Sondheim fan. Send in the Clowns is, of course, from Little Night Music. I should talk about that album, too. I've got that on vinyl as well. I love the song Send in the Clowns, and he does a great version of that. I love the song There Used to Be a Ballpark, and I also like You Will Be My Music. So this is another album. I really feel like, you know, kind of experimenting with A Man Alone and Watertown. He went back to more of that traditional Frank Sinatra sound, but it's still a great album, and I tend to like his later albums, again, because I like what his voice was doing at this point. It was, you know, like I said, definitely well-seasoned. I feel like he could get a little bit more emotion from his voice at this point. He was older. His voice was a little worn, but I think the age just improved, you know, how he presented these songs. So Old Blue Eyes is back. Another great Frank Sinatra album. And my last vinyl record that I have by Sinatra is an album called She Shot Me Down. And let me just turn to my notes here. She Shot Me Down is from 1981, actually. And there's the cover. This was the final album that he recorded for the Reprise label. Again, here's the classic gold Reprise label. This is, you know, reading reviews about this album, they always use the same term. These are a bunch of torch songs by Sinatra. And by 1981, you know, I was saying in the 70s his voice was well seasoned. Well, by 1981, it was, you know, ready to take off the grill, if you will. His voice is rougher. He is a little pitchy at times, but I like it because it's not perfect. And I think that that's good because it's an honest presentation of these songs. And the songs on this, She Shot Me Down, are just great. You've got Good Thing Going from the musical Merrily We Roll Along. That's another Sondheim musical. You know, he did a great cover of that song. Hey Look, No Crying, Thanks for the Memory, A Long Night. Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down. That song and Good Thing Going are the two best on side one. Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down is by Sonny Bono. Then side two opens up with a wonderful song called Monday Morning Quarterback. Frank Sinatra just sings that beautifully. South to a Warmer Place, I Loved Her, and The Gal That Got Away, It Never Entered My Mind. That's a medley. So this is the back cover of She Shot Me Down. And it's amazing to think that this came out in 1981 and Frank Sinatra was still able to record an album and, you know, put something out into the public that was totally different. I mean, if you think about the musical climate in the early 80s, especially 1981, Frank Sinatra did not fit into that musical climate. But he still said, you know what, screw it. I'm Frank Sinatra. I'm recording an album of songs that I like. I'm recording an album of torch songs. And you know what? I'm going to put it out there. You're either going to like it or you don't. And I love it. So those are some of my Frank Sinatra albums that I like and that I happen to have on vinyl. You know, I've got a lot of his other stuff on CD. Maybe I'll pull some of those out and do a review of those as well. But I'd be interested to know what you think about Sinatra. Do you like his early years? Do you like his later years? You know, what do you think about these albums? So subscribe to my channel. You know, like it, share it. Let me know below what you think. And I'm going to go listen to some Frank Sinatra. Have a good one.